we can move on and talk a little bit about the offense since we just dove into the defensive numbers and balance this thing out. I just went through the last 3 games and pulled out some clips that I thought were interesting, something we don't see all the time, and I'll just off the cuff give you some questions. I do think part of Jamal's struggles is that he does force it a little too much when guys are swarming him in the paint. We know that he has been like a magnificent rim finisher in years past, but there have been times where he's been triple teamed and he's not passing out of it, I've been noticing. So real or fake, Jamal needs to be better about passing out.
I'm going to go with fake. There are definitely instances in the last month or so since the season started that I have agreed with you that he's forcing things inside. But especially lately, I don't really think that's true. I think the opposite is true. I think he just needs to be more aggressive to score, honestly. Like on that drive that you just showed me, I think they were just like, just stay with Jokic and make sure he can't pass it back. Mm-hmm. And then Gafford takes Jamal.
Right.
I think that he probably still could have tried to pass it to Jokic there, but I think PJ was probably going to get the deflection. So I think Jamal just needs to be more aggressive to actually score.
It's almost like he picked up the dribble expecting to either shoot or pass, and like almost.
I don't think he was expecting Gafford to pick him up.
Right. Yeah, and he picked up the dribble early, and then he had to do this awkward. Like if he just was still dribbling,
you could say here maybe if he passes to Jokic earlier, like as soon as Gafford picks him up, then that's a score because he could just like do like a short lob into Jokic there. But I think he was just surprised with Gafford picking him up because you don't really expect switches in that situation necessarily. That's why it was like a good defensive coverage. I thought Dallas was really good defensively in the beginning of that game, and we still scored 53 points, which is like in that first half, which is like very survivable if you're not playing like the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
Like as being the Nuggets, that is.
So you would like Murray to just be a little more aggressive when he's going downhill and giving himself a better opportunity to convert it.
Yeah. And even if he misses like 9 times out of 10, or, probably not actually, but like 7 times out of 10, Jokic gets that offensive rebound anyway, but he needs to be hunting his shot. For sure.
CB, should the Nuggets just go away from CB entry passes? Because I think we both agree he needs to improve his entry passes.
He's had some bad ones. I remember one in that Mavs game that was like, where was that supposed to be to? And the closest player was a Maverick. No, I think that everybody just needs to get better at their entry passes because sometimes CB is going to be the one that's there. So like, what are you supposed to do? Obviously, if like they're fronting and helping and you need to pass the ball around to somebody else who has the better angle, then yeah. But if Christian has the to make the pass and he needs to make it well, like not there was like that egregiously bad one from the Mavs game. Mm-hmm. That was just don't do that.
Just more reps and they'll figure it out. I feel like they have a lot of things they need to learn, especially from Russ, who can make some good entry passes and or just dump off passes because, we have plays like
he's
this
good
one.
Passer, man.
Yeah, he really is where, we're swinging.
Help,
he's dribbling, nice little dump off. We saw Christian try that same little interior dump off pass to Jokic against the Knicks. That was a turnover.
Against the Knicks, I remember. Yeah.
So
he tried it, and there was another time where he missed it and then went for like a short fadeaway instead. Like he missed the read.
So just the passing and just
the thing is, we talked about Christian's offense in the last episode or the last one that you and I did together, and he had these like nice empty side DHO situations where like the read was like easy, but I think he's a player that was very much impacted like the most out of anybody from how the Knicks scouted him. Like, I was just shocked to find that he finished that game 50% from the field because in the first half of the game, the Knicks were forcing him exclusively to like shoot with his right hand or with his left hand, which he like really struggles to finish with his left hand. And he was missing like everything. He was missing like random stuff in transition too. I think that they scouted that Christian empty side pick and roll as well because they they know that he's like looking to get Jokic the ball back, and they were able to just recover in such a way that he was like just not familiar with the coverage, and so he missed an easy read and then had to go for a tougher shot. It was just he had a tough time, and that's what's going to happen when you're higher up on the scouting report. So I hope he in particular is looking at the offensive film from this game.
Yeah, he just didn't really have that same rim finishing in the next game. That was like off, and I think the next, they played it well and all that. But I'm not worried about it yet. So let's keep with CB though. A lot of these are with CB because he has so much room to grow on the offense. Real or fake? CB should grift more and try and get more fouls because he had this nice little jump in and one bank shot floater. And Malone wants CB to get to the line more. So how do you feel about him adding some more of that into his game?
Well, I want him to get to the line when he's actually getting to the rim. I don't think he needs to get to the line any more than he had been in previous games where it's all coming off of shots at the rim. This was a good, it was nice to see that he had this move in his bag. I feel like I've seen him try it before, but then he misses the shot. But this was closer to the rim, like it's a kind of a short mid-range kind of shot. I don't think he needs to grift more. I think he just needs to continue being aggressive, getting to the rim, and be more mindful of when teams are forcing him to his left hand, and either practice that left hand rim finishing better or know how to counter whatever teams are doing so that you can get back to your right hand.
All right, well then how about, since that was kind of in the mid-range, we'll just stick with this because he had this almost weird offensive possession where Murray gets it out to him and he's kind of dribbling around the three-point line, but settles for the longest two you could possibly settle for. Real or fake, CB's mid-range jumper?
I'm going to go with fake. He doesn't hunt the shot. I'm glad he doesn't because I don't want him to be like the number one mid-range jump shot attempt frequency guy on the team that is apparently taking a lot fewer mid-range shots this year. I think he should take it when it's open, but I don't want him hunting that shot. I like that he doesn't hunt that shot. What I would like him to do is just get to the rim more. And it's interesting, guys play off of him, but lots of defenders will play off of guys that are good at getting to the rim, and they're able to get to the rim anyway. And that's what I would like Christian to become good at, not at taking middies. Although, like, it's helpful. Any bucket is good, but I don't think it should be a focus, no.
All right, let's shift to Mike for a second before we get back to CB. So Mike definitely in the, I don't know if it was in the third quarter against the Knicks, just was not hitting his floaters and such, but he had better downhill game, I think, this season than maybe we were expecting. So let's take a look here. Mike has a drive and gets a very tough and one through Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, he comes off the DHO, and which is a DJ doing that, which was kind of cool to see. Cat's not like the greatest rim defender. He's not known as like an elite defender, but he's a big body.
One,
yeah. So let's say real or fake, Mike's offensive game at the rim is improving.
Oh, absolutely real. This is something that I noted last season as well. He didn't get to the rim with frequency, and the numbers didn't show that he had the highest efficiency, but he had the most creative finishes at the rim that, like, of anybody on the team, where it was like, oh, it's not just like an easy layup. It's like it's contested in some way and you need to go with some like offhanded finish or something. He's the one that makes those better than anybody on the team. And I think this season we're seeing it even more because of the frequency with which he's getting into the paint. So I think that is real. I think that's the first one I've said real for, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes I feel like the real ones are too easy of like lobs. It's like, here, Jokic's three is back. Real or fake? Real,
Yeah.
So I'm giving you some different looks, which I'm going to do again, but I think you might like this one. Because on this next play, this is from the Mavs NBA Cup game, got a little like, it almost could have been like a Spain pick and roll or Spain handoff, but instead we get this like inverted pick and roll with CB and Jokic where CB can roll off of it and get a dunk there. So real or fake, the Nuggets should look for more inverted pick and rolls with Christian Brown and Jokic.
Absolutely. Especially when teams are as aggressive with Jokic as they were here, as Dallas was here. This is actually something that is just like a recurring theme with the Dallas Mavericks over the last couple of years, how they guard Jokic. They guard him pretty uh, pretty far out, and try to keep him from getting deep in the paint. And as a result, like the bigs tend to get pulled away from the rim, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why we end up with like games with like high dunk totals against the Mavericks. And we saw it again in the Timberwolves series, how you and I talked about this just like nonstop. Like, oh, they're pressuring literally everybody on the ball, AG, Jokic. And we were like, run some more inverted pick and rolls. Like, you guys are going to get easy stuff out of this. Like, not even just open threes. Like, you're going to get layups and dunks out of this. And I think that that's a really great way to bring what you end up in that situation within that situation. They've got P. White in the dunker, right? But then you have Jamal and MPJ, your best shooters in that lineup, spacing, and then you get Jokic is the best shooter in that lineup, but nobody like respects his 3-point shot right now. But then you get two of your weaker shooters involved directly in the action, so that they're able to operate with space, and then you get your best finisher on the team in this case, although he didn't look like it against the Knicks, and Christian Brown able to roll to the rim for a dunk. I really like that. I'm a big fan.
All right, well, let's go to another CB screen. This is a little horns alignment, and Murray's going to get the post entry pass to Jokic, and then going to be a little split action where Christian sets a screen for Murray, and then again he can slip and cut to the rim and finish. So another creative way that we can get Christian's elite rim finishing going with some little off-ball screens. Real or fake, CB screening for Murray is a sustainable offensive look.
Yes, it's sustainable, as in they can do it for long stretches. I will say there are ways to counter this, and still force the like shots that maybe the Nuggets don't want to take as much. So, for example, the big could have played further off of Jokic, but that's where his 3-point shot comes into play here. And this is related to what I admitted to being wrong about as the season has progressed, is the fact that Jokic is able to shoot and is like popping further out, is opening up more space for the lesser offensive players on this team to operate in more comfortable areas of the court. They could put the big on somebody else, or try to, but then Jokic will counter that by punishing them. But I like this. Like I like them running this. They ran it a lot against the Lakers. Between they had Mike doing what Christian in Christian's position. They had Peyton in Christian's position as well. But Christian's a really good screener. And what that does is it not only opens up space for Jamal to potentially pop out and get a wide open shot, but it also means that Jamal's defender is the defense in a compromising position, because Jamal's defender has to trail and then loses him, forces the switch, but then they end up on the top side. So Christian gets that wide open lane to the rim. So it's just a good set. Spam it long enough and they'll figure out the proper help points. But I think it's definitely a good thing to run every now and then.
I think it's matchup dependent too. The Lakers have pretty weak backcourt athletically and physically, so split actions against them are going to be pretty nice. Against more aggressive teams and teams that are more organized, you never know. But it's cool to see CB involved in more nice screen and nice rolls, and he's obviously good at finishing around the rim, and I like seeing that for sure. All right, last one. Again, the NBA Cup. Mike driving, getting downhill, and then just getting an assist to CB on the back cut along the baseline, and we've seen some other clips of Mike assisting more and having some passes. So real or fake, Mike's assist game and his passing are improving.
I think it's real. I think it's in large part like I think he had this ability in him. Like we've seen, flashes here and there of like high assist number games from him, and he's definitely looking for guys even more in transition. I think that he's actually better at getting the ball up the floor than Jamal is. Like Jamal doesn't really like hit ahead as much when he's the one ball handling in transition, but Mike does. So that's one. But he doesn't get assists off it necessarily because you're not always having guys like pull from however many feet out in transition. And so he's able to kick out, he's able to jump off, and he's always been good at passing to Jokic. And now he gets to have the ball in his hands more, frankly, than he did before because of both AG and KCP not being on the team. I don't think even though Peyton's been filling in for AG, he's not really as directly involved in the offense as AG obviously is. So that just means more responsibility in that regard on Mike, and so he gets to be assisting to Jokic more also. So I think like a lot more. I think he's just getting more opportunity and allowing his ability to make some of these like basic reads to shine a little bit more and keep the offense flowing.
I think I was probably most excited for Mike's offensive game since the preseason. We just need to get everybody on board and consistent, and we need to bring the focus and intensity for an entire game. So we'll see if we can do that.
Defense, please, everybody,
please, God,
please. It's funny because last year, like they finished ninth, but they were so close to top 5 for like most of the season, and I think he would have been pretty happy about that.
He was like, "We can get to top 3. Like, look at where we were last year." But
yeah,
no, not yet. Any last thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, I just kind of, like you said, they haven't really put together like a full like 48 minutes of impressive play on both ends of the floor, and especially defensively. Like defensively, I don't think there's been a single game where they looked good defensively throughout the game.
Yeah,
they, bring it for stretches and often trying to come back. And so I'm still waiting for that game to happen because obviously last year they started off pretty hot. And so they had a few impressive wins kind of under their belt by this point in the season, including that big blowout in OKC, which is the one game that they beat the Thunder in last year. So I'm waiting for that. Like, I want to see them bring a full 48 minutes effort because there are all these like really young, scrappy teams in the NBA now that are just looking impressive in their effort and their execution, even though they don't have as much talent. And I'm thinking of specifically the Orlando Magic and the Houston Rockets. And even this is like they're not looking impressive because they look good necessarily, but because of how far they've come. I think the Detroit Pistons have looked, really good. Like all these teams are looking to improve on how they've been. And so that's kind of what I'm still waiting to see from the Nuggets. Like I want them to look like way better at something than they have been in the past. And nothing besides just Jokic being who he is really now compared to even before, is really standing out in that regard. And I'd like to see more connectedness in that regard. That's just like, hey, like let's go out there and like really look impressive and like beat up on this team.
Yeah.
Kind of game.
Improving on just the Jokic front is never really a bad thing since he is the key to our identity, and we're kind of improving just slightly around the margins in terms of like free throw rate and opponent mid-range frequency like we talked about, and opponent 3-point frequency, things like that. But we haven't seen any meaningful jumps, I would say, in terms of these battles on the margin. So who knows? Like you said, sometimes those stats just hold up through the whole season at this point, and so this might just be what we're dealing with, and we're gonna have to find ways to win games despite that. I don't know that Julian and P1, CB, and even Mike and Jamal are going to be able to bring that like intense defense that I've seen them do in spurts in the second half of a game. Yeah, I don't know that they're going to be doing that in a full game this season. I'm skeptical, but We shall
We
see.
just won't see it.
That's where I'm like placing my bets right now, but I hope I'm wrong. All right, well, that was a good episode. Hopefully we have more wins to talk about when we join you next time. I have a good feeling that we will. But in the meantime, listeners, thank you if you already are subscribed. We love you and appreciate you subscribing, taking the time to listen to us. If you're new to us or just lurking and checking us out, consider fully subscribing to help us out. We're almost to 800. We want to get to 1,000 as soon as we can, and keep growing. So appreciate your time. If you're here, like and share the video and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of our uploads. Follow us and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music, and leave a review if you choose to listen to us there. Follow our Instagram and TikTok for our short content, as well as our clip channel on YouTube. And just remember, winning is fun and losing sucks.